I want you to picture something for just a second.
Okay.
Imagine a man who is described, and this is quite literally in the text, as a storm clothed in flesh.
A great line.
Right. He walks through the shadows of this incredibly high-tech psychic civilization. And he is a mercenary who is so terrifying that his own people, his own government, honestly doesn't know whether to give him a medal or just exile him to deep space.
Yeah, it's the ultimate, be careful what you wish for scenario. I mean, they absolutely need him, but they really can't stand him.
Exactly. But here is the paradox, and this is what hooked me immediately when we were prepping for this. This living weapon wasn't forged in some sterile government lab.
Yeah.
He wasn't born into a warrior caste with silver spoons and laser swords or whatever. He started as a nameless cursed child, just scavenging for scraps in the mud and fighting just to get enough calories to survive the night.
And it's a classic narrative arc on the surface, the rise from nothing. But what we're looking at today has a very specific, almost biological twist to it.
It really does. So welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are unpacking the story of Seredyn, also known as the Ghost of Verdantia.
Yes.
And we are digging into a massive stack of documents from the NeoMercy clan universe, specifically focusing on the Earthline set of worlds.
Which is a fantastic setting.
It really is.
Yeah.
We've got the character profile, the planetary data for Earth-09, and this fascinating narrative document titled The Forging of Seredyn.
And just to kind of frame this for everyone listening, what we are really doing today is a case study in interstellar survival logic.
Interstellar survival logic.
Yeah, because the NeoMercy universe is built on this very specific engine where the environment dictates the species, and then the species dictates the society.
Right.
So our mission today isn't just to retell a really cool action story, it's to connect the dots. How did the specific, incredibly harsh conditions of planet Verdantia biologically and psychologically engineer someone like Seredyn?
We're going to look at his evolution, his insanely complex ghost ability, which is, way more than just a superpower, and his connection to this cryptic cosmic prophecy involving a group called the Nine.
It's a heavy stack of lore today.
It is.
We're dealing with telekinesis, class warfare, and the psychological cost of literally fracturing your own soul just to win a fistfight.
So let's jump right in. We have to set the scene first because the environment is effectively the main antagonist here.
Oh, absolutely.
We are on planet Verdantia, designated Earth-09. Now, looking at the concept art and the descriptions in the source material, this place looks like a paradise.
Visually, it is stunning.
We're talking endless rolling prairies, canyon cities that actually float in the air, auroras constantly shimmering in the sky. It sounds like a luxury vacation spot.
Visually, yes, and it's located in the Frontier Spiral Galaxy. But you have to look past that postcard view. The core feature of Earth-09 isn't the scenery, it's the psychic resonance.
Right.
The planet itself literally hums.
A hum, like a physical sound.
More like a vibration in the nervous system. The source material says the Earth itself is psychically active, and that radiation, over generations, shaped the dominant species there, the Stellagrande.
Which, I have to say, sounds like a luxury car brand, the Stellagrande.
It really does, doesn't it? But they are impressive. Physically, they look just like us, basic Earthling template, but they live for an average of 250 years.
2.5 centuries.
Yeah, imagine having 2.5 centuries to perfect a hobby.
And their hobby is moving stuff with their minds.
Essentially, yes. They are born with innate psychokinesis, bending stone, lifting steel, shaping matter with thought.
Wow.
And this isn't a learned magic spell, it's a biological function for them, like breathing.
Right, so for a normal citizen living up in those floating cities, moving a cup of coffee to your lips without using your hands is just Tuesday. It's totally mundane.
Precisely. But here's where the data gets weird. And I want to pull up the aggression level stat from the species profile. Did you catch this part?
I did, and I honestly thought it was a typo at first.
Right.
It lists their aggression level at a 10. A 10. Usually you see that kind of rating for, xenomorphs or apex predators that just eat everything in sight.
Exactly.
But the Stellagrands are described as peaceful humanoids. So how do you reconcile a peaceful artist society with a maximum aggression rating?
It's the sleeping dragon paradox.
Okay, unpack that.
The source material clarifies that this aggression is reactive. It's not active. They don't go out looking for fights.
Right.
But the notes say that if they sense outside aggression or a threat to their cultural stability, they have, and I quote, No reservations about destroying entire planets or committing genocide.
That is terrifyingly extreme. I mean, going from 0 to 100 in a split second.
It's a biological defense mechanism. Think of it like a dormant volcano. It's peaceful and beautiful for centuries, but if the pressure changes, it wipes out everything.
Wow.
That extreme duality, peaceful builders who are capable of absolute guilt-free destruction is the DNA of this world. And if you keep that duality in mind, Seredyn makes perfect sense.
He is that planetary instinct given human form.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the man himself, because while the average Stellagrande is living the good life up in a floating dome, living for centuries, Seredyn's start was, let's just say, less grand.
Far less grand. This is really Act 1, the forsaken child. Seredyn wasn't born in the floating cities. He was abandoned in the slums beneath the canyons.
The mud below the paradise.
Exactly. He had no family, no clan, no record. The locals labeled him a cursed child.
It's a heady label for a kid. And the reason wasn't just poverty, right? It was his biology.
It was his power. In a world where control and elegance are highly prized, Seredyn's power was unstable. It was raw.
He couldn't gently lift that cup of coffee.
No, he might accidentally crush the cup or explode the whole table.
So he's a glitch.
He's a glitch in a perfectionist society. He had to survive in the street pits where mind and fist determined who ate that day. And this is the crucial environmental pressure.
How so?
Well, if you are a Stellagrande up in the sky, you use your power for art. If you are Seredyn down in the mud, you use your power to stop someone from killing you.
And that survival pressure forces him to develop his signature move, the ghost ability. Now, I have to geek out for a second here.
Go for it.
Because on paper, this is the coolest ability I've read about in a long time. Seredyn figured out how to split fragments of his own consciousness into spectral doubles.
It is an incredible evolutionary leap.
He could literally fight as a squad of 3 people, all by himself. The source describes these ghosts acting independently, flanking enemies, creating distractions. I mean, it's the ultimate force multiplier.
It is, but, and I need to be the buzzkill here, we really have to look at the mechanics, because the source material is very careful to prevent this from sounding like a comic book power.
Where he just snaps his fingers and poof, clones appear.
Right. It's not like that at all.
Yeah, the section on the physical toll was rough to read.
Yeah. It describes the process as agony. Just think about what's actually happening. He is literally fracturing his psyche, and the worst part is the feedback loop.
Oh, the sensory return. That part was wild.
When a ghost is destroyed or returns to his body, it pours all of its memories and sensations back into his mind.
Right.
If a ghost gets stabbed, Seredyn feels the memory of being stabbed. If a ghost fails a jump and hits a brick wall, Seredyn feels the impact. The text explicitly says he relives failure 3 times over.
That is horrifying.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine getting punched in the face, and then 3 seconds later, the memory of that punch hits your nervous system again, just as hard.
Exactly. It's total psychological attrition. Yeah. Using this power left him trembling, bleeding from the nose, completely physically wasted.
Yeah.
And this is where the survival logic kicks in again. Because his psychic gift was physically destroying his body, he had to compensate.
They had to get buff.
In a way, yes. He had to harden his physical vessel just to survive his own mind. He ran rooftops until his lungs screamed. He learned to fight with blades and sidearms.
He became a hybrid.
Half psychic, half brawler, because he just couldn't afford to rely solely on his mind.
I love that detail so much. It prevents him from being just another wizard in a robe. He's a wizard who will also just punch you in the throat if he has to.
Because if he uses magic, it hurts him. A punch is free, magic costs blood.
Right. So let's move to Act 2 here, the mercenary path.
Yeah.
Seredyn survives childhood. He's an adult now, still young relative to that 250-year lifespan, but he's out of the slums.
But instead of trying to integrate, he leans hard into his role as an outsider. He becomes a gun for hire.
Which is the one thing Verdantian society despises most, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Selling a sacred biological gift for cash, that's taboo, highly taboo.
But he was so good at it. The list of feats in the file is just wild. There's the mines of Orath Canyon. He collapsed the tunnels on a group of raiders with a single thought.
Efficient.
Brutal, very. And the floating markets of Delvier. This is where we see the ghost ability in full action. He split into 3 distinct fighters to overwhelm a dozen armored soldiers.
It's crazy.
Just imagine the confusion of fighting one guy who suddenly becomes 3, and they're all coordinating perfectly because they share one mind.
It is a tactical nightmare for his enemies. But the example that really stood out to me was the gunplay. The text says he blended bullet and mind into a seamless dance.
Yeah, you have to explain that, because normally telekinesis stops bullets, it doesn't fire them.
Right, but think about the trajectory. He shoots a projectile, but then he uses his mind to curve it in midair or to accelerate it.
Oh, wow.
Or he pushes the enemy directly into the path of the bullet. He's completely removing the variable of missing. It's total battlefield control.
That is terrifying. But again, the sources emphasize that he isn't a god. He definitely has a battery life. There's this one incident where a structural support fails in a dome, and Seredyn shifts the entire massive structure to save thousands of people.
Which sounds like a classic superhero moment.
It does. But the aftermath. He didn't wave to the crowd. He fell into a coma for days. He was trembling on the edge of death. It shows that while his power output is incredibly high, the recoil is almost lethal.
And that leads to the psychological isolation. I mean, he saves thousands of people, and then what?
He wakes up alone.
Right. There is this really poignant scene described in the lore where he's observing a group of soldiers, just regular grunts bonding around a campfire.
Yeah, I remember that.
They're laughing, sharing cheap food, complaining about the weather, and Seredyn is just watching from the shadows, realizing he can never, ever have that.
Because he's too powerful to be one of them, but too low-born to be one of the elite.
He is completely isolated by his own nature. The text says he longed for someone worthy of his protection. That is such a key phrase.
Why is that?
Because he isn't looking for a friend. He's looking for a justification for his existence. He wants all his suffering to actually mean something.
Which sets us up perfectly for Act 3. The ruins of prophecy. This is the big pivot point. He's out on a contract in these uncharted mesas, miles from civilization, and he stumbles upon some ruins.
Ruins that are way older than the Stellagrande. And this is where we really have to zoom out to the wider NeoMercy clan universe. We need to talk about the Nine.
The Nine, it just sounds ominous.
It should sound ominous. In this universe, the Nine aren't just local gods or some government committee. The lore describes them as omnipotent entities at the peak of the cosmic hierarchy.
Okay.
They are the arbiters of reality. We are talking about beings that operate on a scale way beyond human comprehension.
So Seredyn, this slum-born mercenary, finds glyphs that refer to these cosmic giants, and the inscription seems to speak directly to him.
The glyphs resonated when he touched them. They actually read, "The Nine shall rise, but only through trial. The Forsaken will be forged." And it also mentioned a prophet of chaos.
The Forsaken will be forged. I mean, if you're Seredyn and you've spent your whole life being called a cursed child and a mistake, hearing that has to be incredibly intoxicating.
It reframes his entire life. Suddenly the pain, the ghost sickness, the rejection. It's not just bad luck anymore. It's a curriculum. It's a literal training program designed by the gods.
So he becomes completely obsessed. He stops fighting for money. He disappears into the wilds to train for destiny. And this training montage sounded absolutely grueling.
It was borderline self-destruction. He tried to push his ghost technique further. He attempted to split into 4, then 5 essences.
And I'm guessing that didn't go well.
Disastrous. Seizures, hemorrhages, his mind literally shredding apart. He found his hard biological limit was 3.
3 ghosts.
Yeah. So realizing he couldn't add more quantity, he focused entirely on quality.
Control.
Extreme control. And this detail gave me chills. He learned to sever weapons at the joints. He learned to crush a suit of power armor without touching the flesh of the soldier inside.
Wait, pause on that for a second. Crushing armor without touching the flesh inside? That implies a level of surgical precision that is almost scarier than just blowing the guy up.
Exactly. It's a massive flex. It's saying, I can kill you, but I am choosing to peel you like a piece of fruit instead.
What?
It proves he has mastered his environment completely. But the motivation is what really matters here. He wanted to be chosen by fate because society rejected him. It's the ultimate validation.
And that brings us to Act 4, the Ghost of Verdantia. Seredyn is 30 years old now. He's a legend, an absolute myth in the Badlands. And finally, the Council of Elders, the ruling body of the planet, summons him.
And they don't summon him to give him the keys to the city.
No, they're scared stiff.
Remember the aggression level 10? The Stellagrande destroy threats, and right now, looking at Seredyn, this unstable, prophesized weapon of mass destruction, the Council sees a massive threat.
Right.
They fear he could topple cities just by waking up on the wrong side of the bed.
So he just walks away. He realizes they will never accept him. He goes back to the wilds, under the star fields, and this is where we get the quote that I think defines his entire character arc.
I love this quote.
He vows, "I was abandoned, but I will not abandon. If I cannot be loved, I will be feared. And if I am feared, let it be for protecting what others cannot."
That is the synthesis right there. That is the exact moment the environment finishes creating the character.
Break that down for us a bit more.
Look at the species profile again. The Stellagrands are peaceful until threatened, and then they become destroyers. Seredyn has essentially become the external hard drive for that aggression.
The external hard drive, I like that.
He is the planetary defense mechanism. He isn't a hero in the traditional sense. He's not kissing babies or signing autographs. He is a deterrent.
He's the monster they keep in the basement to scare away all the other monsters.
Exactly. He accepted that he wouldn't be loved. That's the tragedy and the triumph of his story. He traded connection for purpose. He became the ghost of Verdantia because Verdantia didn't want a man. It needed a weapon.
It really brings it back to that mission we started with. How does the environment create the character? You look at the slums, the psychic resonance, the social rejection. Seredyn is the only logical outcome of that equation.
He is entirely a product of the Earthline system. The harshness gave him grit. The psychic radiation gave him the gun. And the isolation gave him the motive to actually pull the trigger.
But there's one thing that lingers for me, one loose thread that honestly makes me a little uneasy when you think about it.
The prophecy. The 9.
Yeah. Seredyn believes he's being forged to serve them. He believes he's becoming a protector. But we know from the lore that the 9 are these omnipotent cosmic entities. They aren't necessarily good guys.
And this raises the most provocative question of the whole deep dive. Seredyn thinks he is training to save the weak, but if he's truly being forged to join the 9, is he actually becoming a protector?
Or is he becoming something else entirely?
Think about it. If you evolve into a cosmic entity, an arbiter of reality, do you still care about the forsaken child in the slums?
Right.
Or do those human concerns become like ants to you?
That's a terrifying thought. Just the idea that his entire quest to save his humanity might lead him to a place where he completely outgrows it.
It's the ultimate risk of power. You might become the god you sought to serve, only to realize that gods don't have friends. And they certainly don't sit around campfires.
Well, on that slightly existential and deeply terrifying note, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive into Seredyn and the NeoMercy clan universe.
It's a grim universe, but a deeply fascinating one.
Absolutely. It's a great reminder for you listening that survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about what you have to turn yourself into just to make it to tomorrow. Thanks for exploring the universe with us, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.